Hello and welcome back to another video on the yamas and the niyamas, where I try to add some context to these lessons in order for yoga teachers and practitioners to be able to apply these in a practical way to our lives so that the sutras themselves become actualized as a philosophy of life, a philosophy of living, as opposed to just a list of things that we're taught to remember in our teacher trainings. And as Aparigraha is the subject of this video, it's typically described as non-hoarding. And so the first thing that comes to mind with this subject is that of physical possessions. And now I want to make a distinction that I don't believe that the implication here is that yogis should not have things or possessions or wealth. There are yogis who take it to an extreme, just like all things can be taken to fundamentalism levels or levels of fundamentalism. But so I think it's fine for yogis to have possessions, to be rewarded and compensated for your work and for your efforts. But I think it's important for us to not make things, money, possessions, the point or the main idea behind what we do. In other words, it shouldn't be the motivation for our process, for living. And yet this is a very difficult thing to even comprehend or to follow through on. I'll give you an example. At the beginning of 2016, Ali and my wife and I, we decided to move away from the United States. This is when we moved to Thailand. And on our path working up to that point, we literally got rid of everything that we owned. You know, both of us were in our late 30s at the time, so we had a lifetime of possessions and valuables and things and sentimental things to hold on to. And as we were going through the process of removing all of the things from our lives, because holding on to these things would have literally prevented us from pursuing our passions, pursuing our dreams, we could not have afforded to maintain an apartment to keep them in the United States and live overseas. And it wasn't realistic to maintain a storage unit for an indefinite length of time. So we got rid of everything that we owned except for a suitcase each and a backpack each. And as we were narrowing down the final items, it felt like we were doing something wrong. It felt like we were doing something we were not supposed to do, because our entire lives were taught that we're supposed to look for ways to provide security for ourselves. We're supposed to have a house, put things in our house, get a car, all of these lists of things that we're supposed to have in order to be a, quote, successful adult or a successful person. And going against that inherent teaching made us feel like we were breaking the rules somehow. And I can tell you from experience that it was quite liberating to relieve myself of items that I didn't really use that were clogging up space in my life. There was a sense of freedom being out from underneath all of these possessions. And over the years, we have since reaccumulated some things, of course. And as we settle down over the next couple of years, we'll probably reacquire more things. Yet we still maintain a life of minimalism, and I quite enjoy not being in possession of too many things. I think it can really affect the way that we view the world and the way that we handle ourselves. It makes me remember another instance when my father passed away, and I went to his house to attend to his affairs after his passing. One of the things that I decided to do was to clean his entire house out. It was a mess. Now, him and my mother were separated, and I didn't think that my mom would handle very well the task of going through and sorting through all of that. So I decided to do that while I was there, attending the funeral as a way of occupying myself, occupying my mind, and spending time with my brother who helped me through that process. And as I was going through everything, I mean, the closets were packed with things, the drawers and the cabinets were stuffed with just junk that I'm sure that he didn't use for many years at a time. I found things in the closet that I had left there when I moved out when I was 18 or 19. What was that? I guess nearly 20 years prior to that. And in the last years of my father's life, he seemed to be not a very happy person, often cynical about the world and about his situation in life. And I couldn't help but think somehow that had he been free of things that were holding him down, that perhaps he could have pursued some of his dreams in a different way and been a little bit less cynical, which kind of brings us to a separate aspect of this topic that I want to touch on too, is that Aparigraha is not just about things and prioritizing things over experiences or friendships or ideas, but it's ideas and beliefs that we hold on to, as well as physical properties. As we go through our lives, we have this internalized script about the way things are supposed to be, the way the world is supposed to be. And you'll notice that when things don't play out according to your internal script, this is when we become angry, we become frustrated, we become agitated. You'll see this play out in simple things, such as, for example, you're driving to work or you're driving to the yoga studio in your car, and somebody might pull in front of you or cut you off on the road, and you'll feel your blood pressure begin to rise. You'll feel your anger begin to rise, and hopefully not to the extent that you take on any type of road rage. But these types of feelings are very evident and present in these situations. Yet it's a very common yogic teaching that we cannot control what others do or what others think. We can only control how we react to the things that are otherwise out of our control. So as we're discussing hoarding possessions, hoarding things, hoarding more than we need, also notice about ideas and beliefs that you hold on to, and give consideration to why you hold on to those particular ideas or beliefs or feelings about the way the world should be. Notice when you impose your expectations on people and unconsciously demand that they give you the usual fulfillment and comfort. How do your expectations keep you limited and often disgruntled? More often than not, we do this with people we are close to. We don't allow them to grow in their own way, or we inadvertently push them away when their behaviors or their belief systems don't necessarily align with ours or align with how we think that they should be. Notice when you cling to experiences, emotions, thoughts, habits, and beliefs, and see what you can let go. When you let go of the things that you no longer need, be it possessions or beliefs or attitudes, then you create more space and room in your life for something better to come in and fill its place. Aparigraha.